Hello, this is Japanese Economic Review Channel. Have you ever had that feeling where you look at your paycheck and it just doesn't seem to stretch as far as it used to? Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack the latest official wage report to find out what is really going on with our money. So many people are feeling that financial squeeze right now. So, we're going to get to the bottom of why, even if you got a raise, you might actually be feeling a little bit poorer. Let's dive right into the official labor data for November 2025 and see what the numbers are telling us.
All right, let's kick things off with the number that everyone sees first on their payslip. This is what economists call the nominal wage.
So, what is a nominal wage exactly? Well, put simply, it's the total amount of money your employer pays you. It's that gross yen amount, before we even start thinking about the rising cost of everyday items. Plain and simple, it's the figure printed right there on your paycheck. So, what's the verdict from the latest government report? Well, total cash earnings did go up, but by a pretty modest 0.5% compared to this time last year. Now, on the surface, any increase sounds like good news, right? But that number, it really doesn't exist in a vacuum. That 0.5% increase, it sounds okay, but to really get the full picture of our financial situation, we have to factor in the rising cost of goods and services. And trust me, this is where the story gets really, really interesting.
You can almost think of inflation as this kind of silent thief in your wallet. The big challenge for households all across Japan is that the price of pretty much everything, from groceries to gas, has been climbing much, much faster than our paychecks have.
How much faster, you ask? Well, during the exact same period, the Consumer Price Index, which is the official way we measure inflation, it rose by a staggering 3.3%. That is a huge jump in the cost of living.
And wow, when you see those two numbers side by side like this, the picture just becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? That tiny little bar on the left, that's our wage growth. And that towering bar on the right, yep, that's inflation. That massive gap shows that the growth in prices is just completely swallowing any growth in our pay.
Okay, so what happens when we adjust our wages for that inflation? Well, now we get to the real story. This is what we call our real wage, and it reveals the true picture of our financial health.
Your real wage is really the true measure of your purchasing power. It answers the one question that actually matters. Can I afford more stuff or less stuff with my paycheck today than I could a year ago?
And here it is. This is the bottom line. After you account for that 3.3% inflation, real wages actually fell by 2.8%. That means, despite that small nominal pay bump, our actual ability to buy things has gone down.
Let me put it another way. Even if the number on your paycheck looks a little bit bigger, your wallet feels lighter because your purchasing power has actually shrunk. Your nominal pay is up, but what it can buy you in the real world is definitely down. But hang on, is this the same story for absolutely everyone? Well, the official statistics let us dig a little deeper, and when we start looking at different types of workers, the story gets a bit more nuanced.
So let's look at scheduled pay. Think of this as your base salary, without things like bonuses or overtime. For general full-time workers, it was up 2.4% in nominal terms, which is a bit more robust. Part-time workers, on the other hand, saw a smaller 1.2% rise in their scheduled monthly earnings.
But check this out, because here's a really surprising twist, especially for part-time workers. While their total monthly pay didn't go up as quickly, their average hourly wage saw a pretty significant nominal increase of 4.2%. This seems to suggest that a rising demand for part-time labor is pushing up that per-hour rate, even if the total hours people are working is fluctuating. So, to sum it all up, what's the big picture? Nominal wages are inching up slightly, yeah, but they are being completely outrun by high inflation. And the result? Our real purchasing power, what our money is actually worth, is continuing to fall.
And this all leads to the big question that's probably on everyone's mind. When is this trend finally going to turn around? For real wages to become positive, and for all of us to actually feel it in our wallets, those nominal pay increases are going to need to consistently beat inflation. That's the key indicator we'll be watching very closely.
Thank you for watching the Japanese Economic Review. We look forward to having you with us again.